This is Rogue Wing, Coraline, or Helen RD over at Starship Modeler. Welcome to the workshop. Alright, it's now Tuesday night. Got one or two little things left to do. Here's hoping I can get them done. But, quick update to where I am. Got the Omega-7 markings and the runway marking. Runway marking is also on the elevator. Got the runway marking down. I actually wound up splicing it in several sections so I could get it to lay down much more evenly. I also have the Columbia markings on the bow, as well as a Omega-7 logo. Also have the Columbia marking on the stern. At this point, I basically got to let the future I just put down on the markings dry, which means it'll probably be tomorrow night before I get to it. But at this point I've got weathering, and I need to get at least a couple of the 1/700 planes done to at least help show the scale on this thing. But I have high hopes we're going to make it. Okay, it's Friday night. Now, luckily, Scott has added another week to the contest, so I've actually got till next Friday to get this done. But, for the most part, Columbia herself is done. I've lowered the elevator. I've added the caution stripes around the elevators. I've actually glued the bridge island into place. Now, one thing I went in and did, just to add some detailing as well as a little bit of weathering, was I went in with a black wash to the lower areas of each of the fan rotors, both upper and lower. Also added a black wash to the bottoms of the fans themselves. Again, just mostly to add some detail to it. Also did a black wash on the engines themselves, as well as the undersides of the elevators. And inside a couple of the detail areas, I guess we'll call them. I also added a black wash to the doors on the bridge tower. The windows I did both here on the bridge tower and on the bow by liberally dunking the brush in the metallic blue paint and then wiping the excess off the surface. So basically you get the appearance of the windows behind the window frames. Now, as I've said before, I've still got some plane work to do. CW needs probably a darker primer over the top and then a redo of the graphite dust. I've still got to do some work with the 1/700 scale aircraft. But the carrier herself, it's Friday night, she'd have been done. Stay tuned. Alright, at this point, I'm going to call this done. I'll show you what I mean. Unfortunately, like with most of the build, we're on shaky cam still, but given how big this thing is, that shouldn't surprise anybody. Okay, we've got all the markings down. The runway was done by decal and spliced in roughly 2-inch sections so I could get it to lay down. I went in, as I pointed out before, did red around all the elevators. My son pointed out that she was a bit shiny, so I gave her a coat of All-Clad's dull coat through the airbrush. Still got some shiny spots down here in the runway, but at this point, I've killed it about as well as I can. Now, one of the things that have kept this thing in progress are the aircraft. Now, CW, you've known about for a while, although she's gotten a new coat of dark primer and a new coat of graphite dust. Just make out on the wing the Omega-7 emblem, gone in on the nose and drawn in using a fine tip Sharpie the cockpit windows. Also drew in the intakes and a small Omega-7 emblem on the nose. Now these 5 little guys are the cause of a lot of consternation, but also help sell the scale. These are 1/700th scale carrier aircraft from Trumpeter. I've got a pair of F-14s, a pair of F-18s, and an Su-33 flanker. Yeah, it's a Russian plane. Omega-7's got serious connections all over the place. Now, what I did with them, part of the consternation on these guys, all of them, let's see if I can pick this one up, have separate individual landing gear. Consternation on these, I lost the left strut on 2 F-14s, lost one of the rudders on an Su-33 as well as one of the landing gear. So at this point I've done about all the air wing I'm going to. These guys were all given an undercoat of light gray. The wheels were drawn on with Sharpie. Top coats were given a dark primer coat and then a coat of graphite dust to match with CW. On the wings, all of them have gotten an Omega-7 emblem. The cockpits on all of them were drawn in with a fine tip Sharpie. Alright, at this point, like I said, I'm calling her done. I'll get some stills up at the end of this, show off some of the detail that the video camera just plain can't pick up because of how it doesn't like focusing in close. But sit back, take a look at what I've done. All in all, it was kind of an interesting build considering I really didn't have a clear-cut plan when I started. I'm just glad I got her finished.